am Sue Webley. Welcome to another episode of Inspire. Listen, that intro always does it for me. It gets me hyped. It gets me ready. It gets me ready to say good morning and welcome to another episode of Inspire. I am so glad that I see you coming in on our social media platforms, and I also see you coming in on Instagram. Hey, Instagram crew, if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm over at Instagram. So I see you, that girl Woo. Thank you for joining us. Therese Myers, Yes Girls Create is on. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you last week's episode, I need y'all to go back and watch that. It was an amazing interview. I think I'm freezing a little bit. I don't know what's going on with my internet this morning, but we're going to push forward with our show today. I am fully plugged in, so there's something wonky going on with the internet. If I drop off and all of you are on in the back, just keep talking till I get back, okay? So I might be freezing a little bit. It's showing that I'm freezing on my end. So I apologize in advance. Not sure what's happening with the internet, but I see you. Boaz, thank you for being here with us. Dr. Renair is on Instagram and also in our studio. And Shafiu Sensui. I hope I pronounced that right. If not, please do me a favor and fix that pronunciation for me. Again, if you're just joining us, we're having some internet stuff over here. So I'm showing that I'm freezing a bit. And so let me know in the audience if you see me freezing or if you can't hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. Let me know in the private chat, y'all. Also, y'all in the back, if I look like or you can't hear me, just let me know. And we're going to move forward as much as we can with our broadcast today. If you have just stumbled upon this live, you don't know what this is about, it's your first time joining us, I'm your host. I'm Sue A. Webley. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and Inspire is a live interview style broadcast on a mission to encourage, empower, and embolden like you, like those of you watching and listening in, to create change in their personal life. So as our guests, entrepreneurs, influencers, creatives, and others share their testimonies, tips, and hope that all of you who have joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, will be listening later on the GetInspired.live website and Spotify and all of those other podcasting platforms. We hope that you are inspired to elevate your mindset, to pursue your dreams, and to do, as the late Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon put it so eloquently, work your soul must have. Let me check. Yeah, I am breaking up a bit. I am fuzzy freezing. Okay, all right. Listen, I hope this thing fixes itself. It looks like it's fixed right now. I want you to do me a really big favor and share this broadcast out. Share it out. Share with your family and your friends. Share it works, because we're going to be talking about wellness today. Conversation. I want to invite you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. I'm building up our social media pages under the Inspire brand. If you've been with me from the beginning, you know we started out with Kara, and Kara Solutions is still going strong, but I'm building up the Inspire with brand now. And so please give us a follow on Facebook and on Instagram. And as always, you can head over to our website at www.getinspired.live to subscribe to our newsletter. We don't want you to miss anything that's happening with Inspire. And so go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter. Also, you can follow us on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, which is now changing to something else, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Inspire with Sue on all of those platforms. So, yeah, I'd like to ask if you've been with me any amount of time, or if you're just joining us, I want to know what's in your cup. I want to know what you are sipping on this morning. Now, it's earlier. This freezing is getting on my nerves. It is earlier in some parts of the country than even in the world, right? That it is right now with me being here in Ohio. So, you know, you might be enjoying a cup of something. Okay. So share with me, what are you sipping on? So I have my Joy cup this morning. Let's see, can you see? There it is. Joy. I have my Joy cup this morning, and I have coffee in my Joy cup this morning. Amen. So please tell me what you are sipping. So as I take my sip, go ahead and shout that out in the chat. I have my coffee. It's not mushroom coffee today. I just got a new package of that delivered, so I haven't opened it yet. But I will always big up Dr. Renair for introducing me to that coffee that we get off of Amazon. And Dave Tony, if you're watching or listening in, I promise you I will inbox you the name of that. But we're not going to put that name out right now because they're not giving me advertising coins. Amen. So I will inbox you. But I have a regular coffee with silk almond creamer. So shout it out, what you're drinking on, what you're sipping on, whether it's water, coffee, tea, orange juice, apple juice, a smoothie. If you got something stronger in your cup, who's judging? Not I. I'm not judging. I'm not judging if you have something strong in your cup. Do me a favor, share. We're getting ready to get into our conversation today. Now you see on your screen, we have more. We do have an additional individual who I will introduce separately. I introduce our fabulous guest, and Wadon will be coming in after that. But we didn't know whether he would make it this morning, and I'm so glad that he did. So he's not on this graphic, but he will be in the studio to talk to us. So first up, we have Dr. Renair Amin, who's the founder of Pink Love Wellness. We have Leftwich, who's a fitness trainer and a coach, and I gotta say, one of the best coaches. One of the best fitness coaches that I have met. I have worked with Moe. He has worked with me personally. And when I say he gets the job done, he gets the job done and keeps you motivated to do it. I'm so grateful for him. And of course, Ananda Leeke, human design doula, author, and artist. And I'm so grateful to have all of you on this morning. I'm going to allow you to tell a little bit about yourself, but before I do that, I need to introduce Wadon Rodriguez, who is a licensed clinical social worker and an ordained minister. And I'm so happy that he said yes to today. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Unmute yourself and talk to me. All right. Unmute yourself and talk.
Good morning.
So you're able to.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good. I am praying the freezing has stopped and the breaking up has stopped. And I see all of you still joining us on the socials. So good morning to all of you. I will start with the order how I see it on my screen. I will start with Coach Moe. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and about what you do?
Well, good morning. My name is Coach Moe. I'm a fitness trainer. I retired from the Army. I did 21 years in the Army in total, active duty, and I kind of transitioned into fitness because I was tired of seeing my people, not being able to maximize their lives because their health was bad. That's what led me to fitness training. from New Jersey. I'm New Jersey all the way through and will always be.
You tell this is Nanda is one of our return guests. Can you tell our audience a little bit about you?
Good morning, everybody. I am sitting in my yellow kitchen in the heart of the U Street neighborhood in DC. I rep 202 and U Street all day long. So I'm first and foremost a spirit being having very real human experiences. Dig it? I'm the daughter of Teresa and John Leeke, and I am able to share my gifts on this planet in coaching and human design, which is an empowerment tool. You can go to my website and find out more if you want. Uh, I am also a yoga teacher, a Reiki practitioner. I wear a lot of hats as a healer and an artist and an author. And I got into wellness, self care, and mindfulness when my career as a young lawyer, investment banker, and digital communications professional didn't produce the results that I was taught and socialized to expect. And it was through therapy and community and family that I found in my own life and in my own practice that meditation and yoga and all these other modalities work. So over the years, I studied and become certified, and now I lead a wellness company. Here I am.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ananda. What on?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Watan Rodriguez, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've been practicing in the field of mental health and substance abuse for the past 21 years. I've been both a supervisor, a therapist. Now I'm kind of spearheading I'm director for a mental health clinic in the Bronx, New York, and been kind of really stretching my capacities. I've also kind of taught graduate students in social work, undergraduate students. I'm also a ordained minister. Have been a part of religious community for close to 30 years of my life. So I've been kind of really focused on the intersections of spirituality and wellness and mental health, in particularly as it affects the LGBTQIA community. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. And Dr. Renair.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Renair Amin. I am a new Philly-Yorkian, which just basically means I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, but I've been in New York for 20 years. I am a relationship wellness coach and have been for the past almost 15 years. And I'm the founder of Pink Love Wellness, where I look at how relationships impact our life. I'm also the founder of the initiative LGBTQ Faith Matters. I am also an ordained minister, and um, I look at how wellness impacts the spirituality around religious trauma in the LGBTQ plus communities of color. So I am so grateful to be back here today, and with familiar faces and new faces. And Coach Moe, I'm going to be calling you. Just know that. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining me. Before we get in our first question, what are you sipping on this morning, y'all? What you got, Dr. Renair?
I have strawberry kiwi lemonade, something I'm probably not supposed to be drinking first thing in the morning, but I don't know if I'm sipping, but I'm definitely gulping. Don't judge me, Coach Mo. I see you up there, but it is what it is this morning.
What are you drinking?
Oh, it's too early in the morning, so it's a cup of coffee for sure.
What you got?
Coffee. That is my
Ananda,
go-to.
thank you for some coffee. Thank God for coffee bean. Amen.
Amen to that.
Okay, I would have something
Nanda, what do
else.
you have?
I would have something stronger, but I have water because I'm coming from the tennis court. So yeah, I'm not trying to be the prize student of Coach Moe, but it is what it is.
Well, Coach Ro, I'm telling Coach Ro because Coach Ro got black coffee in that cup. He doesn't even have water in that cup, but I'm pretty sure you drank a lot of water before that coffee.
That's
Coach.
right. I start the day off with some lemon water, and then I move into my black coffee, which I have right here in my JETS Jets cup.
All right. Come on, Jets. So again, thank you all for joining. Now I'm going to ask this first question, and y'all watch it. I'm going to drop out. Don't be alarmed. I'm going to drop out because I need to do something with this internet, so I won't keep freezing. So it'll be like it probably won't even be a full minute. But I'm going to ask this first question because all of you come from you have specific backgrounds and the specific things that you're doing in the areas of wellness, whether it's physical, mental, emotional wellness. So I will start this question off with Dr. Renair, right? We hear this term wellness often, right? But it can mean different things to different people. So what does wellness mean to each of you? I'm going to start with Dr. Renair. And how has your understanding of it evolved over time? What does wellness mean to each of you? And how has your understanding of it evolved over time?
So, wellness
Dr. Renair,
to
you
me,
can pass it on, please, to the next person.
I can do that.
Go
I
ahead.
can do that. So, wellness to me means
Thank
the balance of holistic healing. So, it's not just mental, it's not just physical, it's not just emotional, it's a holistic balance of everything that comes into play. And since I build off of relationships, I'm definitely looking at how your relationship to self, others, and the divine plays into that. And I do think my understanding of wellness has changed over time. What I considered wellness at 20 looked different at 30, now looks different at 40. And as I'm getting ready to enter the 50s, it looks different. So I think my understanding has changed because as a society, we have changed. And how we used to show up in the world maybe 20 years ago, especially in the employment area and stuff like that, is different than the way today's generation shows up in the conversation of wellness. And I think that it has impacted outward to everyone else to really look at how they take care of themselves in day-to-day living. So that's my answer, and I'm going to pass it on to Wadan.
So yeah, I think for me, wellness has definitely evolved. I think that in the beginning, it was really related to kind of cure, or to kind of look at it from the vantage point of um, curing a disease, or curing an illness. And you do things to take care of yourself in order to kind of manage the things that happen to you, whether it be an emotional issue, whether it be a psychological issue, or a physical issue. And I think really over time, wellness for me has changed to really be about, how do you manage and how do you work with illness? How do you work with things that are not curable, right? So you can have diabetes, you can have depression, you can have different things that kind of hiccup. There are hiccups in life. And the question is, for me, wellness is how do you manage those things? What strategies do you kind of participate in to manage it, not to cure it if there is no cure, but how do you begin to manage it so that the areas of your life as you walk this thing called life, how do you kind of improve on the quality of your life? What are you doing mentally, right? What things are you focused on? What activities are you doing for your own body to kind of contribute to the different aspects of who you are? And I think that for me, it's not about cure. It's not about, you know, kind of having something vanish, or there's, you know, the illness is no longer there. It's about how you manage the things that happen in your life, and how do you kind of strengthen your capacities to manage the different challenges that come, whether it be physical or emotional or even spiritual. Amanda?
Thank you. So I echo what Dr. Renair and Juan, I think did I say your name right?
Wadan.
Wadan. Thank you. I echo what you all have shared. I think when I first started paying attention to wellness in the late 80s, I thought of it as just your health, and you would go for a women's wellness exam once a year. And it was a response to things as opposed to what you do on a day-to-day basis. And as I have dealt with my own health opportunities, I call them growth opportunities, and family and friends, and being supportive to them, along the way, it became an intentional act of taking care of myself. And then in the work that I do as a coach, a Thriving Mindfully coach, I use a heart-centered approach to being present well in the real me. And in sharing that with folks, what it's come to mean is that wellness is, first of all, an act of becoming aware. That's the mindfulness. And then it's about making the healthy choices that support and strengthen your capacities, just like what Wadan, I got it right. Okay, cool. I'm practicing in my head. What you said. And I look at it in a couple different areas. It's holistic, just like Dr. Rainier said. I break it down in your spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and I also add creative, energy, and well-being. Because during the pandemic, what I found in the work that I do with folks in the Thriving Mindfully Academy, because we moved everything online, that's a whole nother topic. What I found is that folks really wanted to express creativity, and that in doing that, whether that is writing, whether that's collaging, creating art, journaling, whatever you want to call it, that's where a lot of things that was held in the body, because we hold stuff in the body, that's where it was able to kind of come out, especially with people who weren't going to verbalize it. They were able to see some things through the creativity. So that's where I land now. And I'm going to pass it on to Coach Moe.
Well, for me, when I was younger, of course, I thought wellness was almost perfection. Physically fit, super physically fit, financially set, spiritually almost monk-like. So a lot of times we never reach wellness because we see it as this level of perfection. So we're making ourselves unwell trying to become well. But as I've grown and I've matured, I've found out that wellness is about realizing who you are, setting standards for what you would like to be, but at the same time being grateful and having an attitude of gratitude for where you are, while at the same time being stubborn enough to keep on pursuing a little bit more. But for each level you get, you find that joy. Because you can find a billionaire that's depressed right now. And you can find somebody working minimum wage that has this joy. So wellness is about finding that balance, finding that homeostasis within yourself, where you're you take every level, right? Your finances, your personal, your relationships, your health, and then finding a way where you could just be like, hey, this is me. So wellness is acceptance and constant improvement at the same time. And I pass it to Sue. Aha.
Acceptance and constant improvement at the same time. That's good. I am still freezing. I apologize, but I hope you can hear me, even though like my video is doing what it's doing. Something's happening with the internet today, but we're going to push through it. And so, thank each of you for sharing your unique perspectives on wellness. I have also thrown that question into the wellness is for you, those of us who are watching. I see you, Bishop Bonnie. Thank you for joining us. Radiance, thank you for joining us. I see you. The people are on over on Instagram. What is wellness to you? Being well is layers, so many layers to being well. Yes, yes. Oh, you have one of your Coach Moe. you have one of your clients who is grateful for you being a nag on Instagram. But listen, that nagging gets results. All right, it gets results. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And so, Dr. Renair, you are so you're a relationologist, right? And can you explain what that term means? And in your work with Pink Love Wellness and in your overall work, how do you see the interplay, right, between mental health, all of the different aspects of wellness? How do you see those things playing together?
So I identify as a relationologist, meaning that I study relationships, right? And so for me, I call it my Bruce Wayne job, right? Because I'm Batman in my everyday. My Bruce Wayne job is working as a workforce trainer for young adults. And that job has changed everything that I think about the interplay between mental and emotional wellness because I'm looking at it from a developmental place of how we age and how we mature in life. And so I don't think, and I kind of agree with Coach Mo when he talked about this idea of perfection as wellness. Like we think that it's a destination that we just arrive and then everything is perfect, right? And I found that we tend to have that mindset earlier in life because that's what we want. There's a certain level of perfection that we want. But what I found is there is an interplay between mental and emotional wellness and overall health. However, they're cousins, right? They're not siblings, right? In that you cannot, you don't have to be balanced in everything at all times. And people think that you have to be balanced at everything at all times just to experience a type of wellness. You may be sad, but at the same time, as Coach Mo used, you can still be in this attitude of gratitude. So I think the interplay I see between both of them is the both and. Like two things can exist at one time. You can be grateful and be angry. You can be, you can be have challenges in your physical health, but be working with your therapist on your mental health, on how to deal with the things happening in your physical health. So I do believe that everything is interconnected, but I don't believe everything has to be 100% to experience wellness.
Thank you. I am having the most, so, because I've been doing the show long enough to be able to be completely transparent with everyone. Technology over here. My screens are blanking out. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. And so what I'm going to do is, if I reboot my computer right now, I'm going to invite those of you who are watching on Instagram to join us on YouTube. Let me get that link for you before I reboot. I'm grateful for even if I reboot, you guys would still be on. Well, let me see if it'll even let me, because right now everyone is frozen. And I don't know. Can you? Yeah, we are all frozen. I'm trying. Yes, I'm frozen. I'm frozen, and I'm wondering. I don't know what is happening. What's happening right now? I believe we've just lost Instagram. So let me reboot. All of you, please, if you are listening to me, y'all, in the studio, because now you're frozen, and I don't know whether you can hear me or not. If you can still hear me, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Share that question amongst yourselves. I will be right back.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely a balance between emotional and spiritual and physical wellness. Different aspects have to kind of coalesce with each other. They have to kind of marry each other in a particular way. But one of the things that I think was particularly poignant is that two things can actually exist at the same time. For me, there is something to be said about planning, right? People plan things, people kind of want to structure different things that go on in their life, and they kind of have a routine in place that people can sometimes feel very comfortable in. But then there is the aspect of spontaneity, creativity, that kind of can seem to contradict that. But I think those two things can definitely exist at the same time. But it also has to be measured, because if you allow creativity and spontaneity to just kind of flow without any direction, then you go into chaos. It goes into chaos. So part of the process of planning, thinking about something before you execute it, kind of involving other people and strategy, and really thinking about what it's going to look like, it's wonderful. But I also think there has to be some room for, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what life is going to throw you, but can you move in the unknown? Yes, you can try to plan your day. You can kind of put a structure to everything that you're doing in life. You say, I'm going to get my degree here. I'm going to, get married at this time. I'm going to have my first baby at this time. And I'm going to do that. And then life says, this is not what's happening at this time. Because there were so many things that I wanted to do when I was in my 20s, that now that I'm in my 40s, I'm thinking there are a lot of things I wanted to do I didn't do it. I didn't. There were a lot of things I wanted to do in my 20s, and it just did not happen. So do I chalk it up to, I'm such a disappointment because I didn't get through my wish list? No, life just kept on lifing, and I had to learn that I have to go with the flow, that I have to allow myself to be creative and spontaneous, and recognize that life is not going to be on a straight path. It's going to have all kinds of turns. I maybe have to do a U-turn to then go back into a different direction. I got to go left. Oh no, there's a block here. I got to go straight. So for me, it has to involve the ability to say, I got to find out how I can go with the flow and not be stuck with just planning. everything. Planning is good because if you don't have planning, then you have chaos. That's what I think. For me, it just, you have to marry those two things and balance those two things out.
It reminds me of, like, you think about the redwood forest with these big, strong oak trees, right? These trees are strong and sturdy, but if you put them in a situation where all of a sudden a tornado type of wind comes through, right? These trees are so strong and so rigid that they wouldn't be able to stand. They would actually break because they're so solid and so rigid. Where in places where they deal with a lot of torrential rains and hurricanes, they have palm trees, right? Palm trees don't look as strong as an oak tree, but when the wind blows, they sway, they bend, they're flexible. Now, both the oak tree and the palm tree both want to grow up. That's what they do. They grow up. That's the plan. The ultimate direction is to go up, right? But the palm tree is built a little different, where it's flexible. And then when the storm is over, it comes back. And guess what? It's pointing up again. And that's what we need. So, yeah, the plan is to go up. But you got to have that flexibility and the acceptance of the storm. I'm not going to fight the storm. The storm is here, but I'll be back. And I think that's what we call resilience. And resilience allows us to put things in a perspective of what they are. Like, okay, this thing happened. Am I going to take this as a punishment for my life? Am I going to take it as this happened to me? Or can I sit back in the middle of the storm and think, man, I wonder what's next. What am I going to learn from this? Where do I move on from this? And look for the lesson in the middle of the storm. And if you focus on looking for the lesson, it doesn't take the storm away, but it puts you in a position where you're looking for the happiness at the end.
And I wanted to add that in walking through the storm and growing and being flexible and dancing in between the planning and the spontaneity and the creativity, you can give yourself the greatest gift by offering what I call are the 5 self-care vitamins. Loving kindness, because we're human, we out here lifing. Compassion, non-judgment, patience, and forgiveness. Now, that don't mean that I got it all together, but I'm pulling from some of that. And I know for myself, as a recovering type A who slips and falls in the land of perfection and wannabe perfection, that having those 5 things in my pocket, in my mind, in my spirit, and setting an intention to be able to practice that, because that's really what we're talking about when we plan. Have an intention, but keep it loose. How do you keep it loose? You keep it loose by acknowledging life is life, and we're human beings, and we're gonna trip up, and we have, and we probably will again, more than likely. So give yourself that gift that some people call it, give yourself grace. There's so many different ways to look at that.
Hey, y'all, I am back. Thank you so much for your patience. I have changed laptops. I don't know what was happening with the other one. So I've switched my laptop. I hope that this looks and sounds better, and that everything will remain as it should. It still shows live on Instagram. I cannot see you. Okay, I can't see you, Instagram folk. Because when my other laptop shut down, it took Instagram away. But I'm so happy that we're still live on Instagram. So thank you, all of you, for joining us. Let me go to, because I don't want to miss any comments that you might have. And can we just clap for our guests today who have kept it going? Thank you, babe. Who have kept it going despite my technical issues. Listen, I got the right ones today. Thank you all. While I go and look at my phone for the Instagram folk, Coach Moe. Now, I said at the top of the program that Coach Moe is one of the best trainers that I have ever met. if you are looking for someone that will work with you on Zoom virtually, like you can't get to him, you're not in Jersey. When I say he is dedicated, he is motivational, he inspires you, like even when you want to give up, because there were many mornings where I know I got to come back. But there were many mornings where I didn't want to do it. And Coach Moe, as all of you are gifted in your areas, Coach Moe is gifted in the area of motivating people to get physically fit. And so I'm so grateful for your yes, Coach Moe, and that you are with us. You are with us today. But the question that I want to ask you, when people think about their health, they often think about physical, right? They don't automatically go to, oh, I need to get mentally well or emotionally well. They usually think about being physically fit. And so you have, I believe, a unique perspective on this. How do you help clients understand the connection between their physical wellness and their mental and emotional wellness?
Well, there, of course, ideologically, I say a lot of things, but scientifically, it's true. A lot of the chemicals that we look for outside of our body to make us feel better are already in our bodies. See, when God manufactured these bodies, He put some stuff together. So when we talk about your serotonin and all these things that take us, help pull us out of depressions and help us to build that resilient brain, it's in us. But the trick is when you become physically active, you start moving your body more, your body actually releases these chemicals due to the movements that you're making. So a lot of times people try to separate and say, well, I'm gonna work on my physical health, then I'm gonna work on my mental health over here. And although there are specific things to do for both, I remind my clients that you are one. You are one. And you say mind, body, soul, but it comes together to be the one person. And the same principles that I use to lose weight, the same principles I use to get stronger, by adding more resistance, by building up, by being consistent, by being dedicated, by being committed. These are the same principles I use to get promoted at work. These are the same principles that I use to become better as a father or better as a husband, or you can use become better as a spouse. These same principles of exercise are the life principles of the world. Anytime you want to improve, you can pull these things. It's just that with exercise, it's a physical manifestation of these principles, right? So you actually get to see what happened faster during exercise than what actually happens out in the world. And we can't separate them. And when you become healthier, you become more productive at everything. So many of our down days or our inability to positively respond to life's changes are due to the fact that we're just out of shape. We're out of shape. And not just out of shape as in when I look in the mirror, but my endurance. For example, it's a known fact that as the day goes longer, your willpower muscle goes down. You only got a certain number of good decisions to make in a day, right? So if you have no physical endurance, your mental endurance is low as well. And if you think about when do you make the worst decisions of the day? It's not first thing in the morning. You're full power. It's at the end of the day is when you do and make the worst decisions. And a lot of the worst decisions you made in your life happen later in the evening, whatever you want to take that to mean, right? That could mean snacking or being a snack for somebody you wasn't supposed to be a snack for, right? So you don't separate it. And I like my clients to understand that we are one, mind, body, soul. And if you listen to me, I don't work out in silence. I talk a lot when we're working out because I know you're sweating, you're perspiring, and your brain is open. Because when we're exercising, people forget that your brain needs blood. So if I'm always sitting on my butt, I'm stopping my blood flow. So my blood's not really going to my brain, so a lot of things not happen. But when I got you exercising, oh, I'm preaching, I'm teaching, I'm talking, I'm trying to get you, because I don't just want you to have muscles. We're going to go get a muscle. But I want your life to be better. I want your life to be stronger. And my shirt, it says BEAST, BEAST. And it's better every day and still trying. And that's the story of life right there. We're going to get that. So I might have talked too long. I don't know. But that's my piece.
Well, we could just, where's my little, because I had an offering plate over here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah. 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 Andrew said, "Excuse me, sir, give us our necks back." Snacking or being a snack. Ooh, Jesus. Oh, okay. And we make bad. Listen. Some of us had to take a sip. Go ahead, Dr. Renair.
I don't even know what to say. I'm still in thought. I had to take a sip on that because most of my bad decisions happened at night, and if they happened in the morning, it's because I didn't go to bed. So it continued on. Am I supposed to be answering the question? Because I'm still
no, you listen. You can respond to Moe. You can answer the question. Go ahead.
I do want to respond on something that was said around, and I've been doing a lot of thought around the conversation of choice, right? Mm-hmm. Because I was watching something last night and it reminded me of that saying, even choosing not to choose is still a choice. And I think that when I think about how I've been showing up in wellness lately, one of the questions I've been asking myself is, what is my intent behind this decision? Like, what is my intent behind this choice? Because the truth of the matter is, we can lie to everybody else all day, but we really can't lie to ourselves. Right. We often know, even when we are making a decision that is not best for us, we know. We just know that we are willing to deal with the consequences of the choice that we make. Right? And so I'm still stuck on it being a snack for people, but the truth is, a lot of times, the reason why I made a lot of the choices that I made was because I did not think myself worthy of anything different.
Yeah.
I did not think myself worthy of being loved by myself and being loved by God. I put all of my desires into being loved by people. And the challenge with being loved by people is it can fluctuate. And in some cases, it could end depending on who that individual is. And so I would find myself riding this invisible wavelength that as long as people accepted me, as long as other people promoted me and celebrated me and whatever the case may be, then I could do so for myself. And if they said that I was celebrating too much, then I would adjust to make everyone else comfortable. And so that's what really got me looking at relationships, because it is the relationship with self and the divine that is most important before anything else.
Yeah. Anyone want to respond to that? Go ahead, Ananda.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Dr. Renair. The relationship with self and the divine, the creator, whatever you want to call it. We are bodies. Our bodies are energy. Our spirits are energy. Our hearts are energy. Our souls are energy. And it's rooted in something bigger than all of us. And if we're not aware of the value of that, if we're acting less than, then that's the whole that whole feeling about yourself, the mindset, whatever you want to call it, all of that is a recipe for disaster, which is why all of us are here to prevent and to help people move from those disasters. But it's the patterns. It's the patterns that I see. It's like you may even know what, like I know at 9:30, right before the little taco place closes across the street, that if I get the salsa and chips, I call it my portion control snack. But it can happen 4 days in a row. And so that's when it gets dangerous, when it's on day number 2. But I know that that's not good. When I have an intention of meeting myself on my 60th birthday in a certain way, it's gonna sabotage everything. And so what I am working on, when I get that, I give myself one day, because if I don't right now, it's going to keep on and keep on. But I give myself one day, and then I ask myself, you have this birthright, baby, of self-love. You have this birthright. You have all these birthrights, self-care. So are you going to trash it all for this, or what? It's like having a conversation, but it's the piece about noticing what those patterns are. And when you make that choice to change it, it's realizing that you gotta freaking go slow. And you got to celebrate the small steps in that. Like, okay, instead of 4 days, I only did 2. All right. And what's the substitute for it? Not to get into all the details of it, but yeah, that really brought something up. And then asking and believing that you are going to be strengthened from within, from the Creator. I call on the ancestors. I call on the angels. I'm like, y'all see me. I'm going out the door. It's day 2. Y'all see me. Can I get some help? And believing that you're going to get help. And also having accountability folks around you, whether that's a spiritual community, it could be an accountability partner, a coach, a therapist, whatever you want to have. But having that accountability so that you have people that can pull you up, that you will listen to. Because see, we can have accountability, but we won't listen to them. But who you might need to have the fear of I don't know what put in you in order to do that. But yeah, those are my comments that were coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Talked about you mentioned self-sabotage. I can relate to that very well. Welcome back, Coach Mo. I can relate to self-sabotage very well, because I realized throughout my life, just looking throughout my life, those instances where I really did sabotage myself, right? Prevented myself from walking through a door, from grabbing an opportunity, from, because I was afraid, I was fearful, I was all of the things, right? And so self-sabotage, I think, accounts for a lot of this hindrance. Hindrance is not the word that I want to use, but that's the word that's coming up for me right now. This barrier to full wellness. That barrier is the word I want to use, right? Self-sabotage accounts for a lot of the barriers that some of us face when we are trying to get to well, right? You also mentioned the divine. You mentioned the divine. How does spiritual wellness account? How does it fit into overall wellness? How does spiritual wellness fit into getting to well? And anyone can answer that question. Wadan, go ahead.
I think that spirituality really focuses on connection, right? I think that when you think about meditation, right, you are connecting to the universe around you, right? We are very tactile beings. We are very visual beings. So when we are trying to get in touch with our spiritual selves, we're becoming very, very connected to the universe. We're getting connected with who we call God, or a higher power, to really say that you're not by yourself. And then what normally spirituality teaches us is how to connect with other people, but not just other people physically, but also connect with those other spiritual beings that are walking this earth, right? A lot of the times, we get into these spaces where, what, you just took the words right out of my mouth. That is because spirit is connecting with the spirit of the other individual.
I love
Or
that.
you call that person and you say, what, you know what, you calling me, but you just passed my mind. That is the spiritual connection. And I think that a lot of the times we have moments where life doesn't allow us to really hear the spiritual aspects of ourselves. Sometimes life doesn't allow, dulls our senses, because we're so focused on the physical, that I think that, using discernment to one second. Ooh, sorry about that. Really connecting with other people has a spiritual component, and it's going to affect our emotional lives. It does affect our physical lives. It affects how we kind of view ourselves in the world, and how try to understand how people view us, right? And kind of moving in those areas around being fully present with how we come up, how we show up with people. And so, I think that definitely spirituality, if we are connected to it, allows us to really see how we are connecting with other people.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to respond to that?
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing that I love to share with folks is that our greatest connection to spirit is with the breath, and it's the breath of life. And that right there is wellness, breathing. That right there is self-care. That right there is self-love. That right there is your ticket to calming yourself down. The breath does so many different things. That right there is a gratitude practice, because if you don't have your breath, you ain't here no more. That's it. That's just it. It's not rocket science. You don't have the breath, you ain't here. So the breath gets us through so many different things, and it's such a part of our lives that we forget and we take it for granted until something does happen. But that breath of life for me that's my spirit connection. That's what brings me back to myself. That's what helps me pause when I'm thinking, you don't really want the salsa and chips. What you want is something to comfort you, and because something has happened, or you just feeling some kind of way, or it's the pandemic, whatever, there was lots of stuff. So what can you do? What are some other things? Maybe it's just listening to music. Maybe it's you want to talk to somebody. Maybe you want to hold something. Like for me, I hold a lot of crystals just to ground me, because I'm anxious about something. It's not always about, oh, you hungry, because it ain't. For me, it's just cause. Or find another munchy thing like kale chips. Make your kale chips, or crunch on some celery or apple or something. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Coach Moe, did you have something to add?
For me, fitness has a very spiritual part as well. And basically, I always tell people, I say, there's nothing I could give God. God got it all. God gave it to me to give. So, but what I can do, and just like when we deal with our children or somebody that answers to us, is the best I can do is take what God gave me and make the most out of it. And make the most out of it at the end of the day. This body is my temple. God gave me this body. I didn't pay for it. That breath, I didn't pay for it. All I can do, and part of what my belief is that it's my job to make the best I can out of this body that He gave me. Not just the best looking, but the best out of it. Improving my health, maintaining my health, moving my body, right? Using my muscles, using my joints, using my heart, using my lungs. These are things that were just given to me. And I feel spiritually like that's part of my job, is to say, thank you, God, for this movement. Thank you, God, for this the miracle of movement. And what I'm going to do with this miracle you've given me is I'm going to use it so I don't lose it.
I'm going to use it so I won't lose it.
And if you don't think that movement is a miracle, why would those 4 brothers take the one brother to the roof and drop him down to get that blessing of movement?
Come on. That's good, sir. Movement is a blessing. Whew. Thank you all for sharing. I know we are over time, and so I'm not going to go through everything I was going to ask today because because of technical difficulties and stuff like that. It kind of pushed things along. I want to thank you again for joining me, for even hanging out a little bit late. I just have 2 more things, and then I'm going to release you. And so I'll ask on this. If you can envision a world where everyone prioritized their wellness, what positive changes do you think we would see in our communities, in our society as a whole? Oh, you're muted.
I think crime would go down. I think crime would go down. Crime in most situations is about greed. And a lot of us have greed because we're not happy with what we have. And I'm not talking about the small person, the kid that robs the store, or the poor person that's stealing to eat. I'm talking about at the top, right? For those that have, like they say, the 1% has more than the other 99%. But why does that 1% feel they need it all? Because they're not well. They're not well. Because see, when you're well, you share. When you're well, you want to share wellness all the way down. And I believe that if we actually had wellness and everybody was well mentally, spiritually, and physically, no one here would be at a need. Therefore, there would be no crime. I think crime has a lot of also to do with a lack of self-love, right? Lack of self-love. When I don't love me, I'm going to take it out on you. I believe that wellness would have a huge impact on just the world in general and the way we survive and live.
Thank you, Coach Moe. Well done.
Yeah, I definitely think in the world through connection. I think I think a lot of people are isolated. I think a lot of people, I mean, sometimes they do it on purpose, right? It's a selfish thing. And then there are others who are struggling with connection. And I think that definitely the world would be a better place if we were to really see with our spiritual eyes, be able to see people with the intention of really trying to understand the how the person shows up. I think that there will definitely be a better place. There'll be less understanding, and people will try to get each other. I think that for me is key. I think too often ego gets in the way of connection. And I think that if we were to deal with ego and deal with kind of this need to be better than, but we're just as good as the next person who is in our lives to improve our lives. We improve others and they improve us. I often tell my patients that I am the therapist that I am today, not because of the books that I read, but because of all of the patients that have given me the privilege to work with them. I'm a better therapist because of the people that I work with, not because of the books I read. Mm-hmm. So it's that connection, being able to connect on a professional level, to be able to practice my craft. And I owe it to the people that have entrusted me with their lives. That's my take.
Thank you so much. Well done, Dr. Renair.
So I might be the outlier here a little bit because I don't know. I do believe that there would be some positive changes, but I don't know how it would impact overall, right? Because there's a difference between wellness and well-being. Wellness is what we're talking about as far as like this pursuit of becoming balanced, becoming whole. But well-being is this whole holistic picture. And so when I think about like we're talking about self-love, we're talking about how we take care of ourselves, but we all have a different definition for what that looks like. Like someone who is a believer in their race, right? Pure race, so to speak. They believe they have self-love, right? They're mistreating people in the name of self-love and what I believe about myself and my race. And so I use that as an example. I would be interested in seeing how it would impact systemic challenges, because some of the stuff that we are working hard to achieve a level of well-being are things that are systematically influenced depending on who you are, where you're from, your lived experience, and how all of that has created a story or a narrative for you in relationship to all of those things. So I would love to say if everyone took care of themselves and remove their ego and remove their worked on their trauma and worked on their healing, that things would improve or that they would change. But as humankind, right, they always still find a way to find divisiveness, right? Mm-hmm. There's still some way that someone figures out how to add a marginal line. So I wonder, even if everyone achieved this optimal place of wellness or well-being, would we then have a better world, or just a new way to find out how to marginalize people from that? So I'm thinking of the macro, like I'm thinking of a macro view. I know we were talking about self, but that's my thought as far as like, would the world itself be in more positive or a positive place to live in, even still with everyone reaching this optimal place of well-being?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that perspective. Thank you, Dr. Renair. Ananda?
Wow, this is all of it's been juicy today, but this really, really does touch me. And Dr. Renair, thank you for sharing your perspective, because it definitely, you gave me language for something like the hair on the back of my neck going up. Because we assume that people have whatever it is that they need in order to become well. And there's so many people in our communities of color, because that's what we can all say, that don't even have a foundation to move from. they're in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to bring in where you're dealing with stuff in the Congo and Sudan and Palestine and all the other places. And in parts of let's just call it Mississippi, Chicago, DC, there's all kinds of stuff happening. I think for those of us that do have access, because that's a big word, those of us who do have access, if we are well, we're in a better position to be able to support those that do not. And we're in a better position to be able to address and make some changes to help navigate this white patriarchal society that we live in. I'm just going to call it what it is, in capitalism. And that's bringing in a whole lot of other things for another conversation at another time. But I think it gives people, wellness gives people a permission slip for creating a health insurance, if you will, a health insurance plan that they can use and they can come back to make better choices for themselves. And when one person is well, this is what I've learned from my therapist. When one person is well in that family circle or in that community circle, that opens up space for others. So when you take care of yourself, you may never know who you're influencing. You don't need to know. Just do your own work. As my mother would say, take care of yourself and stay in your lane. When you do that, that gives other people permission in small ways, and you make a difference. It's like one person at a time. So that's where I land on that.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your amazing perspectives, especially on that question. As we wrap up today, again, thank you for hanging out with me over time. What is one simple yet powerful action that someone who's watching right now or will catch it in the replay, or those will listen to the audio, can take today to start or enhance their wellness journey? What is one simple yet powerful action that someone could take? I'll start with Ananda, since you just finished that question.
One thing that you can do, because I don't think we love on ourselves enough. Every time that we take a breath and we hug ourselves, we are reducing, this is for 20 seconds or more, you're reducing the serotonin, well, you're increasing the serotonin in your body. That's the feel-good hormone. And then the love hormone, you're activating the oxytocin, and you're reducing the stress. That's the cortisol in the body. And so hugging yourself is a wonderful way to really just pause yourself if you're in a state of emotions or whatever you are. We don't get enough hugs, and just being kind to yourself. That's take a breath, hug yourself, and then set an intention for what you want to do or how you want to show up in your life. Be well. Just be, and that gives you a chance to connect with the divine too. Hug yourself, feel the energy. So that's where I land.
Thanks. Coach Moe?
Okay, my unmute is okay. I would say at a minimum, take a walk every day. You don't have to jump into like a serious exercise program that could be complex, complicated, or that can be somewhat intimidating, right? If at a minimum, if we all decided every day I'm gonna take a walk, and that walk gives you time to clear your mind, to plan your next day, plan future actions, help you even connect spiritually. I know there's a song that says he walks with me, he talks with me, he tells me I'm his own. He said walks, and he says sit down, so go ahead and take a walk with him, right? Just every day commit to some movement, and no longer thinking of exercise as a punishment, but as a reward for your future self.
I love it. Thank you. Dr. Renair?
I would say, kind of piggybacking off of everyone else, but start your day with you, right? Just have a moment of silence when you get up in the morning, if that's your prayer time, if that's your meditation time, and set your intention for your day. But definitely taking some time for yourself. And if you're a person that your morning starts in the evening, you work at night, but whenever you get ready to start your quote unquote day, that you just take a moment to set up yourself spiritually for your day, whatever that may look like. Instead of, because we often get up and we're rushing and we're getting dressed and we don't take a moment to pause. Mm-hmm. And I feel like taking a moment throughout the day, whether it's your start, your middle, or your end of your night, just to, as Ananda said, breathe, then it gives you a chance to pivot if you need to pivot, if you need to make some changes or whatever. But I definitely think starting your day out with intention is a great place to begin.
Thank you. Thank you. And Wadan?
I am going to piggyback off of the good doctor. I'm going to say that definitely being intentional with your day, and also allowing yourself to be spontaneous, because that is important for creativity. I think that definitely if you are a planner, if you are the kind of person that structures your day in such a way where it's kind of rudimentary or routine, that's great. That's wonderful. It kind of gives you an outline for kind of what you want to do. But at the same time, you have to allow yourself to be spontaneous, allow yourself to be creative, and just see where the flow of life kind of takes you. Allow yourself to kind of experience that, and kind of see where it goes and be creative with it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Where can the people find you, Wadan? How can they connect with you?
Yes, they can connect with me on Facebook. So it's my name. So
that's your name.
It's my name. So yes, if they know my name, they can connect with me on Facebook.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Coach Moe, where can the people find you? Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. So the people can find me on Instagram or Facebook under Beast, Beast, Coach Moe. And you can Beast Coach Moe. Remember, Beast is better every day and still trying. And that is on Instagram as well as Facebook, or my website is beastcoachmo.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Renair, where can the folk find you?
I am Renair Amin everywhere. So you just type in Renair Amin and I will pop up.
Thank you. And Ananda, where can folk find you?
Everybody can find me at AnandaLeeke.com, and I'm Ananda Leeke on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube.
So anywhere you put these names, you'll be able to find our amazing guests today. Thank you again for all of you that joined me this morning. Thank you for hanging out with the Inspire audience. Inspire audience, y'all the real MVPs. Thank you for hanging out with us for this conversation. I feel like we need a part 2 or something. So we'll see if that happens, because as you can see, this wellness thing is very layered. It is very layered, and so it might take a little more unpacking. But I'm so grateful for all of the wisdom that each of you gave us today, and I know that me personally, I'm taking it to heart, and I'm inspired by it, and I'm going to be making some changes. And I pray that those who have watched us today and will catch it in the replay, and who will listen in audio, will be changed as well. So thank you again for hanging out with me, y'all. We are at the end of another Inspire. I want to be sure to remind you to join me again next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, as we continue our conversations with amazing guests. Until then, I want you to stay lifted. I want you to stay motivated. But most of all, I want you to stay inspired. God bless you. And I will see you again next week.